Welcome back to Computer Applications. This is Mrs. Hoffman, and we're going to be working on Google Documents lesson number 7 today. I'm going to first open up my Computer Applications folder and go into my Documents folder. I have preloaded a file in here called 20 Survey that we're going to be using today. What we're going to be learning in this lesson is how to set various types of indents on our lines, change the alignments of our lines, change line spacing, alter spacing before and after paragraphs, and look at paragraph styles. So when I open up 20 Survey, it already is preloaded with a bunch of text, and I'm just going to demonstrate a little bit to you. You're actually going to be doing this as an exercise assignment, but I'm just going to demonstrate a little bit to you to start with. So to begin with, we first need to take a look at our ruler. Our ruler up here has several parts to it that we are going to want to be familiar with. And so one of the things I want you to do is just hover your mouse over that top rectangle in blue. You'll notice it says the word first line indent. And then if you go down to the upside down triangle on the left, that would be your left indent. And if you come over to the right, you have a right indent. Now, indenting basically it's different than changing margins, because indenting, you can indent just some of the lines of a body of text, not all the lines, and it's only for that one line. For example, if I change my left indent, my cursor is here at Michigan Avenue Athletic Club, and if I go ahead and I move that over, notice the rectangle comes with it, which is okay, and I move it over, now that line is indented to the 1-inch mark. Okay, so that's what an indent does. Likewise, if I were to put my cursor here on the third line and I were to move the right indent over 1 inch, now that line wraps around, because that whole address there. And so if I just extend this just a little bit, you'll see that it'll fit on there, but not until I get it almost back to the margin, the indent where it was. So I could indent it slightly and still have it fit on there. So if you want to bring text in from the right a little bit or from the left, I think about like when you're doing a long quotation and you've got to indent from the left and the right. That's a handy tool to be able to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and set these back over here where they were. We played around with before a little bit, but let's just kind of revisit the alignment buttons here. This is left, center, right, and justify, and that has to do with the horizontal alignments. Whatever you select, wherever your cursor is at, is the line that will be affected, or the lines that will be affected. So for example, if I want to center all three of these lines, I would select them and click on center, and they are now centered horizontally on the page. The right align would right align them. You'll notice if I click on that, my text is aligned at the right margin and moves to the left. And the justify button is, think about when you want to create a block looking text, and I'll just give you an example and show you what I mean here. If I were to highlight this whole paragraph here and I were to choose justify, notice that the computer automatically extends my text to be even with the left and right margins, and adds additional spaces within the lines to create that block look. That's justify. You often see this in newspapers or in a magazine article. It's just adds readability and is eye pleasing. So that's what the justify button does. I'm just going to bring this back to the left. So indents again, what you'd want to do is put your cursor on the line or paragraph that you want to affect. If I only want to indent the first line but not the rest of that paragraph, I would use the rectangle at the top, and I'd click and drag that over. Notice the triangle does not travel with it this time, and only the first line of that paragraph gets indented if I want to do a first line indent. Now if I want to indent all lines except the first line, I can set my put my cursor, let's say, on that second line, and I can do a left indent and bring that over, and then I can drag my first line indent back, and so now I have what we call a hanging indent where the first line is not indented, but the remainder of the lines are indented. And you'll be practicing this in this exercise a little bit later on. Bring this back over again. Okay. Line spacing. Within a paragraph, you can alter your line spacing. For example, if I want to change the line spacing of this paragraph, I can simply click anywhere in the paragraph and I can come up over here. I have a button here that says line spacing. I'm going to drop that down and I can choose whatever kind of line spacing I'd like. I have 1.5, and 2 are the most common, or there's 1.15. So single spaced, this would be 1.5 space, this would be a double space. I can also add space before and after my paragraphs. Now this is different than line spacing because as long as you have not hit enter, then you are still in one paragraph. Every time you hit enter, it's a new paragraph. So if I have my cursor before Michigan Avenue Athletic Club and I want to add a little space between this paragraph and the extension 344 paragraph, I can simply go to add space before paragraph and it will automatically create some space for me there. And I can continue to do that if I want to, and actually I can remove it if I want to. It creates a set amount of space, and so that's what would be the default that we would go with. If I change my line spacing of this paragraph to 1.5, notice the whole paragraph changes and the spacing before it does not change, so then I can always add space before it if I want to. And that kind of creates that nice look there, and that you get that look from creating that space but not hitting enter. So those are some very handy tools to use. And the last thing we're going to talk about is paragraph styles, and that simply is just styles of text. And so I'm just going to play with Michigan Avenue Athletic Club, and if I go to format and I come down to paragraph styles, you'll notice that I have all these different styles I can use. These are pre-set up. So for example, if I choose heading 1 and I click on apply heading 1, that's already pre-set up style that's been stored in Google Documents, and I might like it, and so I can also edit heading 1 style and create my own if I want to. I like using this a little bit better because it kind of already shows me what it looks like. So if I want to change it to, let's say, title, that's a little bit big. It's at 36, I can always change that. And if I want to go back to normal, I just go back to normal. So, but it did change the font. It changed the font back there. So I would hit my undo a few times to get back to the original. Okay, so that's it for lesson 7, and we will see you in lesson 8.